everyone, and welcome to today's series. My name's Emily Becht, and I'm the Head of Customer Analytics here at 15 Gifts. Each quarter, we're going to be analysing hundreds of thousands of user interactions to understand the key customer behaviour trends in the telco market. Let's dive into this quarter's biggest trend that we've seen on our customers' engines.
Back in May, we spoke to you about how customers were dealing with the cost of living crisis over what was a very tricky winter period. The acquisition market had remained pretty stable as customer attrition stepped up to fill a gap in the market, with the type of product bought being the main change as customers experienced their buying power drop off by nearly 10% versus what they could buy the year before. Now, here we are 3 months on, and we're starting to see some significant changes, with the main MNO acquisition market beginning to shrink, declining by 9% versus last year. We've spoken previously about the growing importance of affiliates, and although we've seen higher activity on affiliate sites in the last 3 months, it hasn't been enough to stabilise customer growth for the MNOs. Overall, the change doesn't appear to be predominantly driven by PM or SIMO, with both groups representing the same 70-30 split, which, although slightly elevated since 2022, is actually the same we've seen throughout this year. So where else are customers going to cope with the crunch? We know that they're likely still buying. 57% of users say that even in a recession, they wouldn't reduce the number of times they'd purchase a phone or plan. If you've recently cast your net wide and searched Google for a new phone contract, it might have given you a clue to where they're moving to, and that's very likely to an MVNO, or Mobile Virtual Network Operator. With success stories from the likes of ID Mobile, who recently re-signed their 3-year deal with Three, celebrated 1.2 million customers joining their base, equivalent to the size of Birmingham, or around a third of Virgin Mobile pre-O2's migration, or the socially focused and data-rich Voxy, who managed to reach 85% of their target 16 to 24-year-old audience within a week of launching the brand. There's a growing understanding of MVNOs, with familiar household names like Uswitch and The Telegraph writing detailed articles explaining the pros and cons of the brands, with Uswitch even hailing them as a way to offer you the same coverage as a big network for a fraction of the price. And we've seen an increase in customers searching for the term, with the Google trend up by 37% since the beginning of the year. So we know that the type of customer remaining with the MNOs is changing, and we can see it play out in their needs and motivations when purchasing a phone. On average, a little over a third of customers tell us that they just want to use their phone for relatively basic and low data tasks, like taking photos, using messaging apps, in addition to their normal calls and texts. And as we know from May, this need for just basic phone use is waning. We've seen it decline from 37% to 34% over the course of the last year. But despite this, it does remain the largest group of any customer usage. The biggest change this year has been an increase in wanting to do everything a phone can offer, from video calls to streaming TV to travelling abroad. But despite the hefty 113% increase in group size, this data-hungry bunch still only represent 3% of UK users. And although we're not seeing a significant rush towards any one type of new activity, we are seeing a slight shift this year in the number of customers wanting to use their phone abroad, with 15% of respondents saying that they'll use their phone whilst travelling abroad versus only 6% last year. But this trend has shifted since December, not aligning to any of the key legislation changes. So it's not only the summer holidays or law changes that are motivating customers to think more readily about their data needs abroad. Ultimately, outside of that third of basics users, the next third of users shopping on MNOs at the moment falls into one of 5 groups. Customers who want to access TV streaming in addition to the basics, customers who want to use their device for functional needs like working in addition to the basics, customers who want all 3 of those things, customers who want all 3 of those things and video calls, and finally, those everything customers. Outside of that, the groupings become much more fragmented and specific to a subsection of customers. So, quite a lot of change to see in the market in just a few months. And as we come into the next quarter, we'll see the iPhone 15 launch and start to draw into Black Friday 2023, both critical and different selling opportunities, with the months of September to December making up 40% of sales last year. MNO success with the high-budget premium event of the latest iPhone release could be pivotal for their ability to retain those data-hungry flagship phone users. And Black Friday poses what might be a bigger threat, with price-focused communications dominating that market. How MNOs choose to differentiate themselves over this next quarter, be that through standing their ground and dominating the perk-heavy, high-data usage world, or through continuing to innovate in cheaper ways to access their brand in response to MVNO growth, will be the critical part of shaping the telco market for the next few years to come. Thank you for listening, and see you next time for our continued updates in November.